From the General Motors plant in Flint, Michigan, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two guys who sell rabbits for pets or food, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
I hate to admit it, but I have actually eaten rabbit. I had rabbit once, and it was disgusting and tough and gamey and completely flavorless. But other than that, they're okay. Corey, who sent that one in?
That was written by Lorenzo Raffa of the Lorenzo Commentaries, the Lorenzo Diaries, and Twilight, the Lorenzo Saga.
Very funny.
And Lorenzo's Oil. A great movie. By the way, I've eaten rattlesnake.
Have you really?
I've eaten dolphin.
Ooh, that's not good.
I have. I've eaten whale twice.
Let me guess. You accidentally ate. You thought it was tuna, but it was dolphin.
No. I ordered dolphin.
You actually ordered dolphin.
I was in Iceland.
Okay.
It was dolphin carpaccio.
Yeah. I'm putting a call into Peter right now.
Peter who? Peter Goober?
Bleep.
So wait, I'm very glad to say that I have somehow managed to purposely miss every single screening of The Hobbit.
Don't say that. I gave The Hobbit three of my votes for animation on Sunday. Yes, see, those things don't make the news commentary on LAFCA voting.
That's true.
But that was a funny moment, right?
It was a funny moment.
Well,
no, the funniest moment ever was when there was a groundswell of support about whatever it was 2-3 years ago to give the best animated film award to Avatar.
It got a little traction for a moment in the room.
Because we couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Somebody would say 3 points Avatar, and then we all chuckled, and then someone else said 3 points Avatar.
And then there was a whole row of people going, "What the hell, Avatar 3? Yeah, why not Avatar 3?" It was a moment until you kind of got to a more mature part of the room, and sanity prevailed, and they just said, "We're going to nip this in the bud. This is not going to happen," and embarrass the entire group.
That would have been awesome.
But I was very proud to cast my animation votes. 3 points for The Hobbit, 2 points for John Carter, and 1 point for Battleship. And I was making a statement.
The statement is that animated films suck.
It's not a good year for animated films. But Frankenweenie won, and I'm okay with that. Tim Burton.
I guess.
Why not? It's fine.
I mean, it's nice to see Tim Burton care.
Look, it's not CGI.
That's true.
Right? It's not a CGI film. So it says something about traditional animation.
Now, I could still see Hobbit.
Yeah.
But, the great thing, what's funny is that this time of the year, and maybe this is the only time of the year, where you realize that what we do can be kind of cool.
Yes.
Like, for instance, okay, the voting is over. The LAFCA voting is over.
Yep.
Publicists, industry, filmmakers don't give a crap if we live or die.
True.
Until about 12 months from now.
That's right.
Then they'll give a crap for about 4 weeks, and they won't give a crap anymore.
4 weeks. How about 2 weeks? How about until Golden Globe nominations come out, and then no one cares?
But if you go to HollywoodReporter.com, they still have their awards screening guide.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in theory, I could just RSVP for any of these.
Sure.
I mean, they're not going to know. I mean, are they really going to care if I show up to The Hobbit?
Of course not.
So here's where The Hobbit's playing. The Hobbit. What's today? Okay, The Hobbit is playing. It's playing a lot of times. It's playing 3 times for free on the 21st. It's playing on the 14th. It's playing on the 15th. It's playing on the 16th, and it's playing on the 17th twice. And the 18th twice, and the 19th twice. So basically, I could still see. Now, of course, I would want to go to a Hobbit that has the 48 frames per second. That's the point. Now, you said you didn't actually mind it.
Look, no one has been more violent in their opposition to the 48 frame concept than I have. I mean, I just think it's a horrendous betrayal of everything that movies are and ought to be. I'm a 24 frame purist. I hate 3D, and I hate all these attempts to somehow turn movies into a more experiential, immersive gimmick than they ought to be. The movie should draw you in, not come out at you, basically. That's my feeling. And 24 frames is a wonderful kind of transportative medium. So I was violently opposed to the idea, and I got to say, suddenly it's weird after seeing it. Everyone else is more violently opposed than I am. And my reaction to it was this. Yes, it looks like video. Of course it looks like video. At 48 frames, you don't even need the 3D because you don't even pay attention to the 3D anymore because of the clarity, the intense clarity. Does it help the storytelling? Not really. 24 frames would still be better. But I just kind of, with the British accents and the kind of the cheesy backdrop and the fantasy and all that, in my head, I just kind of, felt like I was watching a fusion between, Tom Baker era Doctor Who and the Teletubbies and H.R. Puffin stuff. And then it just felt like a big budget Sid and Marty Krofft movie, and I was okay with it.
You know what I have to say before we get on to some baseball stuff?
And I kid you not, the rolling green hills of the Shire where the hobbits live,
Right.
I swear that's where they shoot the Teletubbies. Looks the same. Looks exactly the same.
You know what? Just hearing you say the Shire where the hobbits live makes me not want to watch that film. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to RSVP for it. I'm going to say, look, I will stand in the back for 20 minutes and look at the 48 frames and then leave.
You know what's funny? The subtitle of the subheading of the film, right? It's called The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. I kid you not. Like 45 minutes into this movie, you're still roaming around Bilbo's house. And it's like that. It's like the Marx Brothers. It's like, which is it? A Night at the Opera? Is it A Night at the Opera where they all cram into the stateroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like that. It's like if suddenly there's all these people cramming into a hobbit's house, and you're like, what the? Seriously? What's going on here? It's 45 minutes in. We're packing into Bilbo's house. We haven't even started this damn journey. Where's this journey? This unexpected journey? Because now I'm actually expecting it. What the hell? Get on with it already. Start the journey. And then I was like, oh, yeah, they got to get 9 hours out of a simple, small book.
The first movie annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So bad.
So
anyway, so we're moving on. We're very excited about our Lafka votes. I feel very proud of the group. I feel we
shocked people again.
We shocked people again. But you know what? We didn't shock people with BS. Although I think that the reason why, and then we'll move on to some great comedies that came out earlier this year. Bourne Legacy. We got some TV. Got some HBO stuff. Got Star Trek season 2.
We have unbelievably huge amounts of new and classic movies. It's a gigantic pile of movies this week.
None of which we're getting to because we keep talking about Lafka votes. But I think that the reason Amour won Best Picture is because the group wanted to award Amour and Holy Motors, and they can't do both. Because only one can win.
That's true.
Because only one can win foreign language. Yeah. So the only way to honor both is to give Amour Best Picture, and Holy Motors will win Best Foreign.
I also think, though, that the more classically inclined part of the room was much more favorably inclined toward Amour. I know there's a big chunk of the room that loves Holy Motors, and I'm not one of them. I know you are. To me, it's just.
I don't know if I love it. I just find it. I just find it endlessly fascinating and perplexing in the most interesting way.
You see, I just think it's a hack job. I just think it's a really, really stupid, retarded attempt at making like pretentious avant-garde poop, and it's completely unsuccessful.
You hate that stuff. You hate
I hate it.
You hate like abstract. Movies.
No, it was like
weirdness.
it goes in the same category as Enter the Void. You know, it's just let me just kind of give you just endless sort of visual and narrative masturbation that ultimately leads to nothing in particular. I mean, I won't give anything away in Holy Motors, but yes, we all know he's this he actories his way into all of these episodes that are meant to be reflective of different genres of movies as he drives around Paris in this white limo. And one of them, yes, it's a musical with Kylie Minogue. Except that doesn't end like any musical I've ever seen. It's just, really, what are you trying to tell me here?
Just when you think you've got it figured out. You don't.
Nah, it's just because he's a sadistic filmmaker. He and Bruno Dumont, they both got a problem. France has a bunch of those guys. Anyway.
All right, well, here's the thing. Oh, hang on for a second.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to food, I know we get emails saying, what did you make? Now, I was... I
already had lunch today twice.
You probably did. How do you stay so thin? God, I'm gaining weight.
Okay.
I baked nothing this weekend because I was cramming down Lafka screeners.
Right.
So I'm going to give you something.
Go ahead, give it to me.
That is so special.
Okay.
I don't even know if you deserve it.
Okay, give it to me.
Now, should I go get it first?
Go get it. I'll talk about a few foreign films of note. Yes. Starting off with Kino's authorized edition release of Joseph von Sternberg's The Blue Angel on Blu-ray. It's also on DVD. We got the Blu-ray here. As with all Kino Blu-rays of classic films, it is beyond compare. It is just spectacular. They completely restored this thing in high def. It's not restored on the original elements into a film restoration. They did a digital restoration. And it's just gorgeous. This is the original German language version with the English subtitles made in 1930, a very early sound film from Germany from Joseph von Sternberg, who, of course, is famous for principally working with Marlene Dietrich. I've been listening to a lot of Marlene Dietrich Christmas music lately. She takes music that is supposed to sound wholesome and just makes it sound dirty. It's really amazing.
She was good at that.
She had a gift for that. Lots of great stuff here. It's really, really wonderful. Now, as far as extras, not much. Effectively nothing. But it doesn't matter. It's a wonderful film. It's a classic film. It's a historic film on technical level and on a narrative level, and you know what? You got to check it out. It's really great. Blue Angel, Marlene Dietrich, and of course Emil Jannings, or Emil Jannings, if you want to do the German pronunciation, who of course was a big deal in American films at the time as well. Also a movie which I found got very few votes, actually. I don't know that anybody even mentioned this during our voting. Probably because we didn't get it on Screener.
That's true.
Yeah, gosh,
Police.
That's really unfortunate. Police, Polisse, by Maïwen, the French director who, by the way, was, as I understand the story, before she was a filmmaker, when she was like 15 or 16, she got pregnant by Luc Besson or something. Kind of scandalous. But anyway, she is now a filmmaker just under the name Maïwen, M-A-I-W-E-N-N, with 2 dots over the I, all very cool and Euro and pretentious. And this is a hell of a movie. This is about the child protection unit of the Parisian police. The only thing I can think that it compares to is Tavernier's L627, which is also a gritty police movie. This is based on actual real cases. It's kind of like Law & Order SVU, elevated to the umpteenth degree, and it is just unbelievably intense. It is a great movie. It's a punch in the face. This is great from MPI.
Whoa, punch in the face. See, wait, I don't watch movies to get assaulted
It's
physically.
good, dude. It's so good. And I wish, gosh darn it, MPI, you should have put this out on Blu-ray, because this is a film that begs to be on Blu-ray. Speaking of Criterion, we've got a bunch of Criterions this week, and this is a fantastic one, a foreign one from 1960, Blu-ray edition of Purple Noon. Now,
with Prince. The Prince film, Purple Noon?
No. Oh. No. I'm sorry, no. What this is the original version of The Talented Mr. Ripley. You didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
See?
I know it now.
See? Now, before that Matt Damon thing, no. This is the real deal. And a young Alain Delon plays the lead in this, and he is just outstanding. Directed by René Clément, one of the great French directors of the 50s and 60s. And it of course, gets the vintage Janus Films Criterion Collection treatment. It looks fantastic. The colors are just pristine. Those wonderful garish 1960 colors that just plunge you into New Wave era France. Terrific bunch of extras here, including an interview with a scholar and author by the name of Denitsa Bancheva, expert on René Clément, as well as old interviews with Alain Delon, Patricia Highsmith, of course, who wrote the novel that the book is the movie's based on, the English trailer, and a great essay by Jeffrey O'Brien as well. So this is just a beautiful, beautiful Criterion Blu-ray. You got to check that out. Also, speaking of great French directors, Robert Bresson, who of course made a lot of.
I love Robert Bresson. He's great.
We love Robert Bresson.
Pickpocket.
But you know what? Bresson kept making movies well into beyond his prime, we should say. This is from 1977. And I had never heard of this before. Olive has gone and dug this one up. This is The Devil Probably. And I had never heard of it. You watch it, you can only marginally tell that it's a Robert Bresson film. It is, you can tell that he's kind of trying to reinvent himself for an era in which he fits rather awkwardly. So this isn't quite like watching any of his early black and white stuff where it's all about, sort of religious angst.
Diary of a Country Priest.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. No, this is, and I'm sort of surprised that this didn't. I'm glad Olive went and found this, but it's. I would have expected another company to sort of grab this. Anyway, 1977. The film is The Devil Probably, and it's basically similar in some respects to a lot of films of the era, which is about 4 kind of aimless French youths who are living a sort of wasted life, and it's very a very negative, pessimistic look at modern Paris and Paris of the 1970s, and how few opportunities there are for the kids, how society is sort of disintegrating. It's sort of Bresson, getting into his twilight years and losing faith, not necessarily in the film form, but certainly in the society that used to support the film form. But this did well at festivals, and it won the Silver Bear at Berlin. So it still has some resonance. A couple other things here I should make quick mention of. Elena by Andre Zvigad. How do you pronounce him? Andre.
How do you pronounce it? Carefully.
Yeah, the guy who directed The Return. Andre Zviganitsev or something. I'll never pronounce that correctly. This movie got a lot of love, Mark, on Sunday. Were you as surprised as I was that there were so many people in the group that even saw the film, much less were that enamored of it?
I was, although I will say that nobody gave it best screenplay, because basically in this movie, barely anybody talks.
True.
Not a lot of dialogue in this film.
Which I usually like. I mean, it's a good film. I wasn't floored by it, but it's a very good film. It actually won the on certain regards special jury prize at Cannes. And if you're familiar with the director, if you've seen The Return, you realize he's very kind of typically Russian in this very brooding look at life and people in general, and very poetic in the way that he sort of approaches his subjects. But there's just not an awful lot here. It's sort of a semi-thriller character study. I'm not sure how you'd explain it. So in a way, it's a nice companion piece to Amour, wouldn't you say? Because it's about an older couple.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Amour is much more.
Amour is more of a heartfelt thing. But anyway, it's about an older couple, and then it turns this family drama into something that feels a little bit more like a thriller. I won't give you all the details, but it's interesting. Philip Glass did a score that doesn't irritate me, which says a lot about it. But anyway, that's out from Zeitgeist on DVD, not on Blu-ray. Worth a look. And then lastly, The Salt of Life, which I expected to actually get more love on Sunday. This is by Gianni Di Gregorio. This is also from Zeitgeist. Gregorio is a wonderful director, and he did a great film, if you remember, some years ago called Mid-August Lunch, which was hysterical. And this is similarly enjoyable as a comedy. This is basically about a guy who's retired, and nobody pays attention to him. Women don't look at him, and his life is kind of he needs to reinvent himself. So as he does, you enjoy the film with lots of laughs. It is one of the few Italian comedies of recent years that I actually quite responded to. So, that being said, Mark, talk to us about baseball, please.
Wait, I'm very disappointed that the Mets have not re-signed R.A. Dickey as of this recording.
I have no idea what that means.
It means that R.A. Dickey is he is a pitcher who the Mets basically rescued from the scrap heap. He's in his late 30s. He's never gone anywhere in his career. Mm-hmm. And he became a knuckleballer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a knucklehead.
No, he became a knuckleballer.
What am I eating?
And
What am I eating?
Oh, we're not there yet.
Okay.
And then what do you? Oh no, we're not there yet. And then after being rescued from the scrap heap by the Mets in his late 30s, and basically his career's done, he does so well that last year or this year he won the Cy Young Award. And he wins the Cy Young Award. It's a great story.
And then he gets no respect.
And they have not signed him to a new contract. That is very, very upsetting to me personally.
Bummer.
However, I will say this. One thing that's not upsetting is that the Giants won the World Series last year.
That's not upsetting.
Well, actually, this year. Well, no. You know what? The Giants are cool.
You live in L.A. You
Big Panda.
Dodgers, Giants hate each other. Rivalry.
I got to tell you, the Dodgers, they got to get it together. They've spent. You realize that the Dodgers they make the Yankees look like spendthrifts.
Yeah, I know.
The Dodgers just spent like $160 million on a 6-year contract for Zach Greinke, who's a fine pitcher, but $24 million a year for a guy who wins 15 games. You've got to be kidding me.
I know.
I think the Dodgers are way over the top. Now, God love them. They want to win. They want to spend money to win, but you got to spend smart money to win.
Yeah, I hear you.
Otherwise, you're like the Yankees, where you just throw your money around to absolutely no effect.
Well, tell us about the Giants.
Oh,
what
I'm
about
sorry,
them?
the Giants. Anyway, this is 8-disc. This is a San Francisco Giants 2012 World Series Collector's Edition. We talked about the one Blu-ray edition of this a couple weeks ago, and this one has all 4 games of the World Series. As you know, it was a sweep as the Giants beat the Detroit Tigers. And it also includes 4 other discs, including Game 5 of the National League Division Series and Game 5 of the National League Championship Series. So if you're a Giants fan, you are going to want to watch Panda, the Big Panda.
Okay, fine.
Get his way through the postseason.
Yeah.
Very exciting. All right, so we have new films to talk about, or films to talk about.
Oh, boy, do we.
Now, we want to get to Dark Knight Returns in a second, but there is another Christopher Nolan film.
The original Christopher Nolan film.
Yes.
The first film he ever made.
Talk about, because it is very good, and Criterion is giving it the full-blown treatment. This is Following. Now, Following it was a British film when Nolan was working out of his home country.
Black and white, made for like $18.
This thing was shot on 16 millimeter, and it was shot over the course of like X number of months. Like they would just shoot it every once in a while, maybe over weekends. Nolan, he shot it, he edited it, he did most of it himself, and it's a really interesting movie. And you really get a sense of the way he constructs that little bit of sort of neo-noir creepiness the sort of grit.
It's unmistakably a Christopher Nolan film.
Yes.
And it's weird to say that about a low-budget black and white film with no stars that was shot on 16 millimeter, because he's now Mr. $150 million, $250 million blockbuster, star-driven powerhouse movie in IMAX. It's like, but yet you look at this and you're just like, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. There's just no mistaking it. It's got that style. It's got that imprint, that kind of coldness, but yet that twistiness. It's got all those characteristics that we identify with his movies.
It's great. The digital transfer, it looks, it was shot on 16, so it's not going to look like Dark Knight, but it was supervised by Nolan himself. It's good. The 5.1 soundtrack is a little much for a movie like this, but whatever. Nolan does an audio commentary, which is great. A new interview with Nolan is fantastic. Also, from 1997, they include Doodlebug. Doodlebug is a short film that he had done. And there's also an essay by our good friend Scott Foundas. And following is a terrific film. You can totally, if Nolan hit a triple with this, he hit a home run with Memento, and then he was off and running.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a terrific film.
It's true. And this was only 1998. I mean, people forget Christopher Nolan has only been around 14 years.
That is weird.
And half that time he spent making Batman movies. Isn't that weird? I mean, really, is there anybody who has soared from non-existence to the heights of Hollywood that quickly?
Look, the only stinker he's had, as far as I'm concerned, is Prestige.
Ugh,
I
don't like it.
I loved Following. I love Memento. I loved Insomnia, which no one talks about. I love the Batman films. I did like Inception.
Well, it's
great.
Let's talk about how much we love the Batman films.
Should we, Wade?
Yeah, let's get
Dark Knight Rises is the obviously the conclusion in the Batman trilogy. I love this film. This might be my favorite of the three. Yes,
really.
Now, if it wasn't for the Joker in the second one,
which
obviously, if you, I know this is a stupid thing to say, but if you take the Joker out of it, or let's just say Heath Ledger wasn't as iconic as he wound up being, as a overall, see, the Joker really, the Joker was so good that he almost overwhelmed the film.
True.
You know what I mean? The film became about that performance, whereas this feels like a Batman film.
Here I also, though, became very aware of the graphic novels that the series is based on. And it was where I really, because a lot of people who are deeply, deeply into the whole Batman graphic novel thing, they will tell you there were no surprises here. If you know the history of Bane and the history of Batman, and if you know that whole story as it's been constructed over the years, this follows it to a T from where it was in the comic books.
Well, but so does the Spider-Man origin story and the Superman origins. They all follow it. It doesn't bother me.
All the twists in this are the twists from comic books.
Well, I didn't read the comic books. I'm a regular person.
Okay.
But I think Nolan really knocked out of the park. The only thing I'll say is that he does kind of drop the ball a little bit when it comes to the ultimate disposition of Bane, let me say.
Yeah.
Where suddenly Bane doesn't seem to be there anymore in the movie. Where did he go?
Yeah, I mean, I found this to be a little bit of a disappointment, and
I loved it.
I still liked it. But it didn't wrap things up quite as I wanted it to, and perhaps that's partly me. But is it worth saying? Well, of course, it wraps up this trilogy, and the first film I loved. The first is probably my favorite still.
Well, the first is a great film because that established the tone, the style. It was unique for the time. And for that you can't give it that. You can't take that away. The only thing I will say that this might have had a negative impact on films is now every superhero film, the studios want to make all their superhero films dark and gritty like The Dark Knight.
And we say that just as the new Superman trailer has just emerged within the past 24 hours.
Yes.
And it's I don't quite know why Superman all of a sudden has to be, brooding and dark and angsty. That's not who Superman is.
I agree.
It's not who he is. That's not what makes that franchise enjoyable. So I think that's a mistake.
So the video quality wise, it looks fantastic. Now obviously some of this was shot in IMAX, so you do get scenes that are presented at 240 to 1, and then other scenes that are 178 to 1. Whatever it is, it's great. Looks great. The audio quality is absolutely fantastic. There is so much detail and using of all the various speakers in the back. Looks fantastic. There's a lot of great special features on it. Something on the Batmobile, on the production, on the characters, on the reflections on the trilogy now that it's over. So this really, to me, is a home run. Now, here's the thing, though. There's a box set also that has all three.
Which they didn't send us.
But you have to decide if you own the other two, do you want to just buy this alone, or do you want to maybe sell your other two and then buy the box set?
Well, is there anything unique to the box set?
The box set has a couple little bells and whistles. It's got like a little booklet thing. If you're into booklet things, you can do that.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure that that's really good enough to make you want to buy it.
Not enough.
Yeah, but
well, you know what else we got this week, Mark? We have one of the most eagerly, hotly anticipated Blu-rays of all time for one of the greatest movies ever made. A movie, frankly, that made me want to be a member of the LA Film Critics Association many, many years before I was. I was still in college at this time, and suddenly I heard that the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, which all I knew was just one of a bunch of film critics associations, had given Best Picture of the Year to a movie that its own studio had threatened not to release. And I thought, are you kidding me? That is a gutsy move. These guys are gutsy. They are saying the best movie of the year is a movie that a studio is starting to disown. Bravo, well done. And that just said, these guys, they have balls, they are awesome, they rule, I want to be part of them. And sure enough, someday they saw fit to go slumming and elect me and you to be members. But the movie I'm talking about, of course, is Brazil from 1985, Terry Gilliam's extraordinary masterpiece, which is also one of the most troubled films of all time. If you've read the book, The Battle of Brazil, and I recommend anybody who's interested in the movie business and its horrible, nightmarish ins and outs and politics, definitely read The Battle of Brazil. It will give you just this psychotic history of this poor movie. And the version released in the United States is still not the quintessential version. The end was a little bit different, but what we get here is in fact the definitive version of Brazil that Terry Gilliam always wanted everyone to see, which was of course released in Europe. This is a 2-disc set on Blu-ray. The 142-minute director's cut is on the first disc with DTS HD audio that is just mind-boggling, and an audio commentary by Gilliam that is fantastic. There is no one who talks about his movies better. And then disc 2, you get the documentary What is Brazil? The on-set documentary by Rob Hedden, the production notebook, which is a bunch of interviews and video essays of all kinds of fun stuff, and you get The Battle of Brazil, which is a documentary about the film's release.
Well, the best extra.
And The Battle of Brazil, by the way, hosted by Jack Matthews, who wrote the book, which I was just talking about. So it's not the same as the book, but it's a documentary essentially following many of the same beats.
And the best extra.
Go ahead.
It includes the Love Conquers All version.
Oh my gosh, it's the
now
best.
The Love Conquers All version is the version that was shown on TV. It's 94 minutes.
And the reason they always include that, and that version was, that version has always been part of the old DVD boxed set of Brazil, had that version as well. And the reason that version exists is because Sid Sheinberg, who ran Universal at the time and who was notorious for meddling in movies, he's the one who also insisted that they take Legend away from Ridley Scott and butcher it down and remove the Jerry Goldsmith score and replace it with Tangerine Dream. Because, the kids like to hear Tangerine Dream when they watch Tom Cruise. I mean, it worked for Risky Business. Hell, why not do it with Legend? That's how Sid Sheinberg thought. And he was all mad at Terry Gilliam. You're not as collaborative as Ridley Scott. Anyway, Sid Sheinberg actually retained the rights to recut the film for a television version. And Terry Gilliam feels that version is just so absolutely reprehensibly terrible and hysterical that he actually flaunts it now. He flaunts it as evidence of just how completely inept Sid Sheinberg and the studios are. It's sort of, he goes, and if you like my movie, watch what people who aren't filmmakers do to filmmakers' movies. Watch
Love
this.
It. Brilliant.
I mean, it's just brilliant. It's just literally peeing in the face of Sid Sheinberg and Universal from that era. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So the Love Conquers All version, absolutely hilarious. And, of course, David Starrett gives the essay in the obligatory Criterion booklet. Terrific. Blu-ray of Brazil. Doesn't get any better. And then we got 3 other films here that I feel obligated to call your attention to because they're classic films on Blu-ray. Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy, on a Blu-ray and digital copy combo. This is a nice 2-disc set that Disney has given us to pay homage to a movie that was a big deal at the time when Warren Beatty did Dick Tracy. It was the first film with digital audio. Did you know that?
I did not know that,
Yep.
but now I do.
Yep, this was the first film to actually be released with digital audio, and it was pretty great. And of course, it has amazing cinematography by Vittorio Storaro. It could be pre-CGI era. It brings comic books to life. Al Pacino started to overact here, and then in subsequent roles forgot that he was acting without the makeup. And continue to overact, but you know what? I actually really like this film. A lot of people ripped on it. I think it's one of Danny Elfman's best scores. I think it's a really sharp movie. I think Warren Beatty just nails this incredible balance of all of these tricky things he was trying to do, and he did it in a pre-CGI era. And bravo!
And you know what? In an era when people assume that visuals mean special effects and CGI and big alien vistas, look at the primary colors that they work with. Look at the production design by, I think it was Richard Silbert. I mean, it is a beautiful film. It is so striking. It looks like a comic book. It is singular. You've never seen anything like it. And it does it all without, looking like it has to be Avatar. Just because it's not Avatar doesn't mean it's not totally cool looking.
Absolutely. And then lastly, we have the first 2 Blu-rays from the Warner Archive collection. A lot of people have been asking, what are the Warner Archive DVDs or Blu-rays going to look like? And I got to say, they're pretty great. Now, the process of these things is a little bit different, and I'm still trying to clarify whether they are literally stamping these out as needed, because they are not Blu-ray like BDRs. They're not the equivalent of DVD-Rs. They're not sort of burned. They do appear to be production stamped. So I'm trying to discern whether or not they're stamped or whether or not they do kind of a limited run, and then just they'll sell them out of the limited run, or if there's some other business model at work. It appears to be different from how they handle the DVDs and DVD-Rs. That being said, Gypsy is the first one, which is a wonderful film, one of my all-time favorite Natalie Wood movies. Of course, it is the Jules Stein, Stephen Sondheim musical about Gypsy Rose Lee, the famous stripper, and done in beautiful, melodramatic, wonderfully wholesome fashion. Look, it's a 2.5-hour musical about a stripper, and it's family friendly. Go figure. But really a great film, directed by Mervyn LeRoy. Beautiful color. The Blu-ray absolutely honors the film. It doesn't cut corners in any way at all, and you get a couple of outtake numbers and the original trailer. The other one, which is a little more peculiar, is Deathtrap. I'm not sure who decided.
Oh, I like this film.
It's a good film, but I'm not sure who decided that this was one of the films that they should use as the inaugural Blu-ray Warner Archive Collection release. But anyway.
Lumet.
Yeah, but
cool
it's
Johnny Mandel score, from what I remember.
But it's kind of and a great performance by
yes.
Michael Caine, particularly.
Remember when Michael, come on, how often do you get to see Michael Caine make out with Superman?
True. Very true. But still, it's not like if you look at all the films that they have in the Warner Archive Collection, I wouldn't exactly zero in on this one and go, oh, that's great Blu-ray.
Oh, sure. But it is a terrific little nugget of a chamber piece.
It certainly is.
Little chamber comedy.
Along with Diane Cannon, our good fellow Laker fan. Oh, you're not a Laker fan, are you? See, you're not in the club.
Well, okay, that's not much of a club to be in at this point, I got to tell you.
That's true. So anyway, that's very nice. No extras, but that's also quite a good Blu-ray. It's just not sort of a visually dazzling film, but it certainly is a very solid film. So those are our Warner Archive Blu-rays, the inaugural Warner Archive releases. If you love these movies, please get them, because we want Warner Archive to release more films on Blu-ray. That's a big deal.
Wade, we have for you on Blu-ray Francis Ford Coppola 5-film collection. Now, often we talk about compilation discs of famous actors and directors, and how there's always one good film and a bunch of ringers that was just piling up in the warehouse, and they just throw a box around it and release it as a 5-film collection. Well, Francis Ford Coppola 5-film collection is a little bit different. We have kind of 4 films, if you ask me. But we have Apocalypse Now. These are all Blu-rays, by the way. These are Blu-rays packaged in a very slim case. Now, frankly, you really should have all of these but one already on Blu-ray. But if you don't, this is a good recommended package. And I usually don't recommend these packages. Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
Apocalypse Now Redux, which I actually did not like. But forget that. Go with Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
The Conversation, one of my favorite films of all time. Tetro, which is a very interesting little late Coppola film. Now, Coppola is sort of going back. Coppola has decided in his old age to go back to just very black and white, back to the roots sort of filmmaking, where the studio's not involved. He does whatever he wants.
He finances it all himself now.
He could be as freaky deaky as he wants, finances it himself. And Tetro was one of those efforts. It stars Vincent Gallo, who's kind of a crazy actor, and Klaus Maria Brandauer also. Tetro's not bad. The big one here that really you should watch is on Blu-ray for the first time, One from the Heart.
Yeah.
Now,
Nice.
Wade, do you like One from the Heart?
Love One from the Heart. And
Yeah.
I know that was the film that bankrupted Zoetrope, but I still think it's a super cool film.
It's a great film. It's a musical from 1982. It's set in Las Vegas, and it was very controversial because it cost a fair amount of money, and it did wind up bankrupting Coppola's, the Coppola's own studio,
Yeah,
American
true.
Zoetrope.
Yep.
And he made a lot of other films during this time.
And that's a big deal on Blu-ray. And
That's a
people
big deal on Blu-ray.
It's kind of odd that they're not releasing it by itself, but because it's been out, it came out in 2004 on DVD in a special edition, which was already a big deal then. People were like, finally.
Blu-ray.
And now on Blu-ray, it's like, wow.
Because here's the thing: is that look,
gorgeous movie.
It's a beautiful movie. What killed it is that the original budget was like $2 million, and then it wound up skyrocketing to $25 million.
Yeah.
And honestly, you just can't do that.
No. It should never have gone that high.
The thing is that, from what I understand, if you look at the genesis of this, not only was this going to put American Zoetrope on the map, but it was also going to reset Coppola's reputation after going runaway on Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, but
a little One from the Heart, a movie from his heart, only $2 million.
Yeah.
People will trust him again. After Apocalypse Now. And in the end, it wound up sinking the studio. It ruined his reputation for a certain amount of time. But it's it's still a great film. I mean, look, in the '80s, Coppola definitely wasn't done. He'd made Outsiders and Rumblefish and I guess the Cotton Club.
Yeah.
But you know what? After that, there was some fallow years there.
Absolutely.
With Jack.
Yeah, I know. Oh, gosh.
The Rainmaker.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
And it really hasn't recovered from that time.
Well.
Anyway, so this is a very highly recommended 5-film collection. Not a lot of extras on it. Don't expect extras. This is really just for the movies. So Apocalypse Now, Conversation, One from the Heart, and then you also get Tetro and Apocalypse Now Redux.
Yeah, very good. Les Mis is all the rage again, and we're of course talking about the musical Les Mis, which we have there's a concert DVD over there that Mark has as well.
It's right here, Wade.
Yeah, we'll make mention of that in just a second, but
don't tell me what to do.
I won't. But there've been a lot of different versions of Les Miserables, and we got more coming in future weeks, which of course are all trying to capitalize on the fact that the musical was finally done by Tom Hooper in big grandiose Oscar baiting fashion, which we'll talk about in a future show. But this is the 1998, I believe. Am I correct? Is my memory serving me correctly? Anyway, the Billy August film, which is not the musical, starring Liam Neeson as Jean Valjean and Jeffrey Rush as Javert and Uma Thurman and Claire Danes, and not a bad cast at all. Just not a great movie, to be honest. Everybody who listens to this podcast knows that I'm a big fan of the 70s, 1978 television version with Anthony Perkins and Richard Jordan. That, for me, is definitive, which is weird because it's a 70s television movie. When was the last time that was definitive in any way? But nevertheless, this is a very well-done film. It's very nicely done. You just don't feel that Billy August fully has creative control over this. The interesting thing about this film is that Basil Polidorus wound up writing the score. And for me, the score is one of the problems with the film. Gabriel Yared wrote the original score, which was junked by the producers. And I can't help but feel that maybe Gabriel Yared wrote a better score, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't the film that they wanted it to be. And you know how that always goes. If they can't recut the film the way they want it to be, they throw a new score on, and they think that's going to fix it.
Well, those are also two very different types of composers.
Oh, my gosh.
Basil Polidorus, the guy's like big and bombastic and whatever.
And Gabriel Yared is elegant and fluid and strings and romantic. And I think they were looking for something more epic and less humanistic, which is not Billy August. You're not hiring Billy August if you're doing a Basil Polidorus movie. So that being said, Rafael Iglesias wrote the screenplay. I mean, it has all the right credentials. It just never quite gels for me. But some people really like this movie. This is the Blu-ray. And it's an okay Blu-ray. Sony did not go to the wall for this. It looks like they just sort of pulled it off the shelf and said, look, the musical's coming out. Quickly put this on Blu-ray and make it look as good as you can without spending too much money on it. So it's definitely on the lower tier of Sony Blu-rays. But, it's not a terrible film. I just don't love it. But a lot of people find it perfectly acceptable. I would say as a Blu-ray, probably more of a rental. Now, if you want to kind of get the juices flowing for the musical version of Les Mis, the film, and if you're like some of the people that I've been talking to lately who have seen the thing performed like half a dozen times, well, Mark's got a goodie for you.
Yes, I do. This is on DVD, this thing called DVD. This is Les Miserables, the 10th anniversary concert from Royal Albert Hall, 1995. This assembles the stars from the original London and Broadway productions, along with a 150-voice chorus and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in Royal Albert Hall. I've been to Royal Albert Hall. Who did I see in Royal Albert Hall, Wade?
The Man Who Knew Too Much.
I saw Elvis Costello.
Oh, yeah.
Who, by the way, as I've said on the show before, Elvis Costello, he cut the show short because somebody from the audience called him a wanker.
Really?
Yes. So someone called him a wanker and then he left.
Okay, well, all right.
That was it. That was my experience at Royal Albert Hall. Anyway, this is great. You know what? It's a huge, huge orchestra and a huge, huge choir. This is very powerful stuff. But you know what? This isn't like bombastic like the movie is. This is like, it's an anniversary. It's a special event. I totally get it. And it looks amazing, and it's all performed live. So it's really great stuff. I wish it was on Blu-ray because it would look better on Blu-ray. But you know what? DVD is all we have of Les Mis' 10th anniversary concert, Royal Albert Hall, 1995.
And now we're going to make a quick mention of two films that have people on them with cowboy hats, and one of them has Hugh Jackman in it, which also ties in with Les Mis, and the other one has Matthew McConaughey in it, which doesn't tie in with anything. I'm going to really quickly make mention of Killer Joe, the unrated director's cut, which is freaking the same as the unrated released cut. I don't know why they're pretending that this is any different. Killer Joe was released NC-17 or released without a rating. I forget which, but it was released for adults only, and for good reason. This is directed by William Friedkin of Exorcist and French Connection fame. And it basically is an incredibly twisted and sadistic movie starring Matthew McConaughey as a kind of a... He's a Dallas lawman, but he moonlights as an assassin, and you can hire him to take out the person that you don't like. But he's got some really twisted peccadillos, and he's got some weird sexual issues. And the movie, not exactly gritty and gripping, but it's more kind of a psychological study of twisted psyche. And Juno Temple is the girl that he sort of, how do we put this? She's his reward. When they can't come up with a monetary reward, Juno Temple is his reward. And she's the sister of one of the guys that hires him, played by Emil Hirsch. And it gets really, really nasty. Without giving you all the gritty ins and outs and the grungy aspects of it, it's pretty nasty.
Well,
decent cast, though. Thomas Hayden Church, Gina Gershon, some good people in there. It's a nasty feeling movie. I didn't enjoy watching it. I felt like I wanted to shower afterwards.
Well, the guy who wrote it, Tracy Letts is a guy. And Tracy Letts wrote two plays that Friedkin wound up adapting, Killer Joe and Bug.
Oh, he wrote Bug as well. Okay.
And here's the thing with Tracy Letts, he was not on my, he was on my radar for these, but when I was in New York a few weeks ago, I saw Tracy Letts make his Broadway debut playing George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh, really?
And he was unbelievable.
Really?
So good. That guy was astonishing.
Well,
and
good.
I hadn't heard. I never put the two together. That this is the same Tracy Letts who wrote Killer Joe and Bug. But I got to tell you, this guy is scary talented.
Well, I hope he writes better stuff in the future. I am not a fan of Killer Joe. I don't dislike it, but I just find it a little bit indulgent. This is a Blu-ray. It looks good. It's okay. It's nothing feverishly mind-boggling, but it's fine. And a few extras on here, mostly from the South by Southwest Film Festival, which all is sort of free extras. And then Friedkin does a commentary, and it's a rental. I'd say it's a rental.
Speaking of rental, if you have to, Butter.
Oh, jeez.
Is a very strange little movie starring Jennifer Garner, Ty Burrell, and the delicious Olivia Wilde. I haven't said delicious in a while.
Yeah.
Delicious. And Hugh Jackman is like a sheriff dude. Anyway, this movie. What this movie reminds me of? It reminds me of Election, because it's about this ambitious woman, Jennifer Garner. She's married to the guy who is the champion butter sculptor in Iowa. And then when he retires, she decides that she's going to take the mantle and sculpt butter for herself and enter this contest herself. And then there's this young African-American girl who's also very good at it. And it's like this big, crazy race to the finish, who's the best butter sculptor. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of Election because it has that sort of look and feel to it, a little bit fairy tale-ish, a little bit heightened reality. The problem with the movie is that it's kind of condescending to the people who live in Iowa. It feels like Middle America condescending, and I kind of found it not that funny, which ultimately is what it has to be. And there's also a lot of moralizing in it. And this thing was a total misfire. It looks like another better movie. It's condescending. It's not that funny, and I just was not really impressed with Butter. Their special features, you can tell they Weinstein Company kind of crapped this out. There's a gag reel and there's some deleted scenes. Big deal. Otherwise, Butter, not really. It will not melt your heart.
So not worth the little blue ribbon thing they sent to us?
They gave us a blue ribbon thing. Butter on Blu-ray and DVD December 4th.
That's
first place.
That's supposed to persuade us to like it.
First place, Mastery in Butter. Little ribbon.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Which I just dropped on the floor. Now, Wade, you're probably wondering what your food is for today.
Yeah, what's my food?
Okay. Now, when I was in New York, as you know, Hostess Cupcakes out of business, bankrupt, done.
I know.
Now, Hostess, they own a whole bunch of other cupcake concerns. And one of them is Drake's Cakes, which are legendary and beloved East Coast, mostly East Coast, confections.
Okay.
Now, wait, I grew up on these.
Oh, you're not going to make me eat a Drake's Cake thing, are you?
What's
yodel?
This, Wade? What is that?
It's a yodel.
A yodel.
Oh, gross. You didn't make this. This is like some...
I told you I didn't make it.
This is some processed crap that you picked up at the... No, this is going to be...
Damn right.
Would this expire like a month ago?
No, not till December 15th.
Oh,
what?
It's 4 days away.
So what? Who cares?
It might as well be fish food.
It's not. First of all, it was in the
gross.
freezer. You are eating one of these. You are gonna understand.
I always knew you hated me.
You are gonna understand the glory of yodels. By the way, if you don't like this, I'll make you eat a funny bone, and that's got peanut butter in it. I don't know how much you hate peanut butter.
I can't eat peanut butter. I
break
out.
Wait. Now here's the thing. You understand? This company's out of business.
Good.
You are about to partake of something that will not exist in like a month. This is a yodel, a Drake's Cake yodel. Wade, enjoy.
Okay.
Enjoy the
Drake's
Cake.
Oh my gosh. Talk about Ted, and I'll try to consume this.
Now everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Family Guy, and God, it's like you're knowingly eating poison. Really, you don't like it? The greatest. Oh, you do like it. You don't want to admit it.
It tastes like processed crap.
It's awesome. Oh, yodels are the best. Well, then you know what?
See, I can't incorporate your childhood nostalgia into my palate. They don't go together.
It just goes to show you that you have no soul.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not going to finish that?
I'll spit it out somewhere.
No, you're not. Come on, that's disgusting. Just either put it down, either throw it away, or finish it.
I'll finish it. What the hell? Can't be worse than actually having to watch some of the movies that we had to watch for this show. So.
Exactly. All right, so Seth MacFarlane is making his directing debut and his big screen writing debut in Ted, a film that I found very funny, and it has much of the scatological humor that Family Guy has, but it tells a little bit more of an actual story. It's about this guy played by Mark Wahlberg and his childhood teddy bear Ted. Has never left his side and actually truly exists in the world, walks around, does his thing, drinks beer, smokes pot, hangs out with Ted. They play video games together. It's an actual walking, talking teddy bear that has followed this guy all throughout his life. And it's great. I think it's very funny. Is it too long? Yes. Is it too long in an Apatowian sense? No. Even Judd Apatow does not know when to stop.
Did you watch This Is 40, by the way?
Not yet.
You didn't? Not even for voting?
No.
See, I watched it for voting because I thought, well,
Why?
maybe there's a supporting...
Why?
It might be a supporting bit
For
in there
who?
or something. I don't know. Paul Rudd. I like Paul Rudd. It's too long. It's 2 hours and 8 minutes long or something.
I know. Forget it.
It's insane.
Now, MacFarlane has some of that in him, too. The only thing... Here's the thing, though. With MacFarlane, the reason why you can buy the fact that it's this long is because he goes into these detours that sort of take you away from the main story for just a brief second, and that's okay. Whereas with Apatow, it is 2 hours and 8 minutes of just assuming that we love these characters so much we never want to see them shut up.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ted, it's different. But I have to say, this thing is, I found Ted to be completely hilarious. I have not laughed that much in a movie in a long, long time. It's not for everybody, but if you don't like Family Guy, if you do like Family Guy, you got to see Ted. It is really one of the funniest films of the year. It is raunchy, it is offensive, it is hilarious, and I just love Ted. There's a bunch of exclusive Blu-ray features here, deleted scenes, alternate takes. There's a gag reel, a bunch of other stuff, but I could not recommend Ted highly enough. It is funny stuff, very much in the Arrested Development, male Arrested Development world that we now sort of live in. where guys in their 30s sit at home and eat pizza and play video games.
Yeah.
Totally feeds into that vibe, and I love it. Ted's funny.
I'm
going to eat my yodel, Wade.
Go ahead, eat your yodel while I talk about a movie that's not so funny, which is The Bourne Legacy.
I like this movie.
You like The Bourne Legacy?
I did.
Really?
Yep, I did.
You didn't feel like it was just trying to stretch a good thing too far?
Whatever. So's The Hobbit.
Okay. Yes, it does. Anyway, all right. It's The Bourne Legacy, and it's no longer with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Matt Damon. I just can't say his name anymore without thinking of Team America. So Matt Damon is no longer in this, but Jeremy Renner is. And Jeremy Renner is supposed to be the new guy, the new action hero. I like Jeremy Renner. I just don't think he's got that thing. He's not an it actor. He's more of a character actor. And, he's fine as one of the Avengers, but I don't see him carrying blockbuster tentpole movies in the same way. And I might not have thought that of Matt Damon a few years ago, but he did. Just the same, Jeremy Renner gives it his all. It's very well directed. It's nicely put together as a movie. I just didn't feel like there was anything going on here that I hadn't already seen in spades in the other Bourne films. So I don't know that this really launches or relaunches the franchise in any successful way. It's a Blu-ray DVD digital copy and ultraviolet combo set, which is great if you want to watch it anywhere, anytime. I just don't know why anybody would want to watch this more than once, and even then. But it's perfectly capable. Mark obviously likes it more. It's got a lot of extras on it. All the varied wolf test sequence and a bunch of featurettes and whatnot. Filmmakers' commentary. It's fine. What did you love about this? Rachel Weisz was surprisingly not that impressive, actually.
I love her. I think she's great.
I do too. In Deep Blue Sea, great.
Oh, you know what?
She's great.
I wound up seeing that, and at the last minute,
isn't she terrific?
She's great.
Slow movie, but she's terrific.
I can see why the New York Film Critics Circle went for her. Although we happen to know on good authority that it wasn't overwhelming. There was some split voting going on, and she wound up kind of sneaking in. But I'm not saying that Legacy lives up to the previous Bourne films, but I thought it was exciting. I liked Renner. I loved her. The plot was thankfully a little easier to swallow. It's a little bit more, a little superhero-y where he has these powers. They're going to lock in if he does a certain thing. He's got to lock him in so he never loses his powers. It's got a little bit of superhero edge to it. But Renner's very intense. There's a lot of physicality to it. I think Gilroy did a good job of putting it all together. It's a pretty smart piece of work. It's well constructed. I just dug it. I was pretty absorbed from beginning to end. It's well made. I will agree with you on two things. One is I don't look at the film and think I want to see another two of these. It felt like a one-off to me, even if it was
totally agreed.
Even as an enjoyable one-off, it felt like a one-off. But also, I do agree that Renner, I think, he's not becoming that leading man, A-list guy that everyone seems to want him to become. I feel he's going to be like one of those B-plus guys, B guys, B-plus guys. When you can't get the top three, you go for Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, sounds like an insult, but I think Jeremy Renner's terrific. But I don't know he's developing his big-time movie star chops the way I think that a lot of people thought he would. But yeah, I'm kind of a fan, I have to say.
Very good.
Now, Wade.
Yes.
I mean, we don't disagree all that often.
Oh, we disagree on this.
We disagree on Ted. I want Ted.
Ted's all yours, baby.
We disagree on Ted.
Yes.
We disagree on Bourne whatever.
Yeah.
The Bourne vasectomy.
Uh-huh.
And you didn't laugh at that.
Yeah, it is funny.
Bourne vasectomy?
Bourne vasectomy. That's very good. Yes. Charming.
But I love, and you hate more than life itself, Beasts of the Southern Wild.
I'm going to go on record here. There were two films that this is where I felt like a stranger in a strange land, a voice crying in the wilderness. In the LA Film Critics Association this year, there were two films that really, really got everybody all hot and bothered. And I'm going to go on record as saying, you're all frickin' high. One of them is Holy Motors, which is just this most sorry-ass excuse for a stupid movie I've ever seen. Leos Carax. It's not even his real name. He just rearranged the letters of his real name.
Neither is Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino.
Yes, it is. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. Holy Motors is just a stupid-ass movie. And Beasts of the Southern Wild, most overrated thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Ugly people in a horrible environment with awful handheld, miserable filmmaking, ugly photography, and a bunch of like giant pig boar things roaming across the wilderness until they stare down this little girl at the end for no damn reason. It makes no sense to me. All I know is I hated this movie. I hated every solitary second of it, and I think people who love it are just projecting their own deeply heartfelt and very correct feelings about Hurricane Katrina and the devastation in New Orleans. I think they're projecting all of that onto this movie.
That is not true.
They are importing emotions that the movie does not earn.
Now,
so I can't stand this movie. I excuse it in no way whatsoever.
Now, maybe not when it comes to me. Now, our good friend Ray Green,
yes,
who directed the great documentary Vampire in Me,
yes,
and also Schlock.
And Ray, by the way, who actually, I mean, Ray is a guy who puts himself where his conscience is. He actually went down after Katrina, like, all Sean Penn style, and did, volunteer work down there.
That's why this movie touched him so much.
Yeah, I
get
for me,
that.
I totally get that.
I think that this film is, first of all, it's a fable. It's not meant to be taken like an actual, realistic film. It is a fable about this 6-year-old girl.
It's a feeble fable.
It's a feeble fable about this 6-year-old girl who lives in this forgotten bayou community that is totally cut off from the world. They fend for themselves.
The bathtub.
They fend for themselves for food, for everything, for their health, for their living quarters. They fend for themselves.
That's how I felt watching it. I was fending for myself, swimming against the tide, drowning.
And after an unknown catastrophe, which you assume is Katrina, they're in trouble, and it's all about how the 6-year-old girl is so strong-willed, and she has to get herself through this crisis. And I would also argue that the character of the father, who we gave Best Supporting Actor to, the guy was a New Orleans baker who had never acted in his life, and we just gave him the Best Supporting Actor award at LAFCA. If you ask me, the point of the movie is that he is imparting to her, in his tough love way, he is imparting to her the lessons that she needs to go on with her life after he someday passes away. And I just thought this thing was a magical movie. I thought that the score was great. The girl is amazing. He was great. It is a coming-of-age flick like you've never seen before.
Oh, I hope I never see again.
And Ben Zeitlin, the guy who not only directed it and co-wrote it, but also co-wrote the score, is a very talented guy, and we gave him
score, and
we did New Generation.
It's just unbelievable.
I'm telling you, this is a great movie. I love Beasts of the Southern Wild. Now, here's what I want you to do at Digigods.com. I want you to rent this movie, because Wade and I are pretty diametrically opposed when it comes to this movie. I want you guys to rent Beasts of the Southern Wild. I want you to watch it. I want you to email us at gods@digigods.com.
Yeah, do it.
And tell us why I am brilliant and Wade is full of crap.
And meanwhile,
why Wade has no heart.
And send us more Vox boxes, by the way.
We're out of Vox boxes.
We're out of Vox boxes. We got one. We got a new Vox.
Oh, we do?
One new Vox box. And by the way, speaking of, we should let people know, if you were not alerted to as a contest winner, you didn't win. The contest winners have been alerted. So congratulations to all the contest winners, and you will be receiving your DVDs and Blu-rays shortly. If you don't get them, of course, email us, and that will mean that we have to ride some of the publicists to get on the ball, because there is obviously a lot of stuff to be done in this season, but we will make them very aware of the fact that you are expecting your gifts in time for Christmas. I've got 3 animated films here to talk about, and I was hoping to get all 3 of them in 3D. They did not send us Ice Age Continental Drift in a 3D copy. They only sent us the regular Blu-ray DVD digital copy combo, so no 3D here. So I'm not able to compare the brilliance of the 3D in Ice Age Continental Drift with the 3D work in Up and Finding Nemo. Not that it really ultimately matters, because Ice Age Continental Drift is just not that good. Ice Age Continental Drift is taking an already thin franchise that was really running on fumes, and Ice Age was never really a great idea anyway. I mean,
that thing does so well internationally.
I know, but it's not. It's just the original Ice Age really only works for 2 reasons. Number one, because Ray Romano's voice of the mammoth is funny in and of itself. And secondly, because they have all of that Scrat, the squirrel stuff, which is really nothing but kind of warmed over Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon fodder. That's all it is. and they're just desperately ripping off Chuck Jones, and it's amusing to a new generation that has never seen Chuck Jones before. So anyway, this is now an ocean adventure. They're all on board an iceberg, and of course that gives you so much wonderful 3D fodder, and when it's not in 3D, it ain't much more interesting anyway. Up is a movie that was I think this was the first Pixar film in 3D, and it doesn't need to be. I saw it in 2D, thought it was perfectly wonderful in 2D for the first half hour or so, and then it just runs off the rails. I love the beginning of this movie. I think it's some of the greatest animation ever, some of the most wonderful poetic storytelling ever. And then once they kind of get to South America and start roaming around the jungle, and it's not really up anymore, but it's on the ground, not such an interesting movie for me.
Wall-E had the same problem. Wall-E had a magical Chaplin-esque beginning,
I agree.
and then it just became another chase film in space. And this Up, I looked it up. Actually, we might have seen it together, and I was like, where did that film go?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Brave has the same problem. Brave had a great first 30 minutes, and then the mother turns into a bear, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this where this movie's going? Well, forget it.
Yeah.
That is 3 movies where Pixar had a great first act, and then they just ran out of inspiration.
Well, this is a Blu-ray, DVD digital copy, and Blu-ray 3D combo set. This is all brand spanking new from Disney and beautiful in every respect. I mean, there's nothing you can say bad about the look or the sound of the thing. The only question is does the movie justify that where it goes? And I don't think it does. They've also released a Blu-ray 3D, DVD digital copy combo Ultimate Collector's Edition of Finding Nemo, which was not originally a 3D movie and also doesn't need to be. Finding Nemo is perfectly great, and really the only way it should be seen is on regular Blu-ray. But they've gone to great lengths to try and invent dimensionality where there really shouldn't be any in this thing. And I think that I gotta tell you, I can see with Up where they planned it for the 3D, but Finding Nemo, there's really no point to the 3D. It's just imposing something where it doesn't need to be. But it's still a great movie, and if you don't own it, if you can get a good price on this, it's probably worth having. All right, Mark, so you got a couple of good little movies there.
Let's do this thing. David Frankel directs Hope Springs, a film that I
like Frankel.
You know,
I do like Frankel as a director. I don't think the guy gets enough credit. By the way, I'm on that Blu-ray.
What
I'm interviewed on that Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's a great way.
I'm in the featurette.
So, in other words, you can't discuss the quality
I can.
because obviously
I have to recuse myself.
That's true. I didn't know what to expect from this film. And I have to say that I give it a lot of credit, and this is mostly Vanessa Taylor who wrote it. I give it a lot of credit for taking the main relationship, the 2 main characters, taking their relationship seriously. It is about this long married couple, Meryl Streep, Tommy Lee Jones. They've been married for decades. Obviously things have become like a lot of older couples. Things have sort of fallen into like a rut and a routine.
Yep.
She wants to spice things up by going to this couple specialist played by a very serious Steve Carell. And they go to this small town called Great Hope Springs, and they try to reinvigorate their marriage. And, yes, it does get into some silly stuff. And I think Tommy Lee Jones might be playing this a little funnier or a little more over the top than the material might warrant. But I have to say that there's a lot of interesting conversations, some real, deep, organic conversations about the nature of marriage and the nature of an older couple having sex, and all that stuff is taken not for laughs. I mean, it's not Sophie's Choice, but
yep.
I mean, it does take itself seriously, and I like that. So this is not a super frothy comedy. It's a minor key film, but it's a surprisingly good film. I was surprised by Hope Springs. It's not bad. This is something that your parents might want to watch and get a kick out of. This is something you could probably watch also, although it does talk about older people having sex, and that's always disgusting.
And I should say I haven't actually watched myself on this because I'm always terrified to see myself on featurettes. But I was interviewed for the featurette, so I'm going to have to go home now, and I'm going to have to see if I actually wind up on this thing after all. But it was fun. I remember they pulled me in and did a little interview, and I watched the film before it was released, and it was lovely. It was very nice, and I thought the film was just terrific. I think David Frankel's great. Devil Wears Prada, all the way back to Miami Rhapsody, even The Big Year, which came out last year, which I thought was terrific. And
you love that movie.
I love that movie.
So terrible.
I like Frankel. I think he's great, and I think everyone in this movie is great. Really overlooked. So I'm going to have to go. I hope I wound up on this thing. I'm going to have to go back and check out all of it. 4 behind-the-scenes featurettes, including An Expert's Guide to Everlasting Passion, and The Doctor is in, Steve Carell and Dr. Feld. Hopefully I'm in one of those. I'm going to have to go check.
You're out of your mind. And finally, from me, we have from 2002 a it was a bit of a departure for him, for Spielberg, but I just thought Catch Me If You Can is
Great
terrific.
Great movie. I wish he'd do more stuff like this. Just tone it down. Stop trying to change the world with every movie. You know, like War Horse, Lincoln. No, stop it. Just make more movies like this.
I agree. You know, it's about this forger. He's a confidence man. He's trying to stay one step away from stay one step ahead of Tom Hanks, who plays the FBI agent who's chasing him. And I think this movie is breezy and fun. And I wish Spielberg would make, as Wade says, more films like this. It's well-paced. It's got that great opening credit sequence with the John Williams music. It is very entertaining. It's almost entertaining in that kind of like, old-school charade way, that old Cary Grant sort of like studio light comedy way. And I just think it's terrific. Catch Me If You Can is on Blu-ray. It looks terrific. A couple of special features on here, which really aren't that bad. So, you know what? I highly recommend Catch Me If You Can.
And really quickly, we have 3 titles here from the from Twilight Time, which is only available at ScreenArchives.com. Twilight Time is one of those terrific labels that just goes and acquires movies from the studios, or it licenses them, we should say, which the studios are just not going to get behind themselves. But because they're going to focus their energies on promoting them and marketing them to audiences that care, they're able to get some really great titles, and they do a wonderful, wonderful job with them. From the 20th Century Fox library, we have the Twilight Time title Beloved Infidel, which is a Henry King-directed movie from 1959 about the actual story of Sheila Graham's romance with F. Scott Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald, of course, played by Gregory Peck, and Deborah Kerr plays Graham. And, I mean, does it get any better than that, Deborah Kerr and Gregory Peck? That's just a classic Hollywood duo. This movie is terribly overlooked and underrated, and it's wonderful that we get this, the CinemaScope glory has now been restored in this beautiful 235 widescreen high-def transfer by Twilight Time. Bravo. Thank you, Twilight Time. And then also, a lot of people are going to laugh at this, but you know what? I love the Blue Lagoon. Yes, I'm the same age as Brooke Shields. Don't go look it up. And, of course, I had a Brooke Shields poster when I was that age from the Blue Lagoon. You better believe it. That's right. I went to Westwood, and I bought myself a Brooke Shields poster. So go ahead, Mark Kaiser. Make fun of me.
You know what? They had that store in Westwood that sold posters. What was that?
Yeah.
Was that the store next to the arcade?
No, there was one that was actually next to New York Pizza. That's the one where I got my Brooke Shields poster.
Was that called something?
There was one called Graffiti, but that was the comic book store, right?
I used to go to the comic book store.
That's where we always went to get Cinefex, all the new Cinefex.
Yes, Starlog.
Oh, Starlog and Cinefex. Anyway, Randall
Cinefex is still around.
I know it is.
Starlog isn't.
No. Randall Kleiser produced and directed this. Randall Kleiser, who, of course, made a lot of other cheesy movies of the day, and his career kind of sank after this. But Nestor Almendros, the brilliant cinematographer, just nailed this. He just directed the hell out of this movie. It's beautifully, beautifully done. It's kind of cheesy. Sure, it doesn't age terribly well. It's sort of the one of those movies that just links the 1970s to the 80s, much like Xanadu, a lot of movies that we just don't want to remember. But I honestly think it's a beautifully made movie. It's got a sweet kind of nostalgic innocence to it, and it's great that Twilight Time has brought it back. And the last new Twilight Time Blu-ray is Lost Horizon. No, not the Frank Capra classic. This is the 1973 musical that is so brutally maligned that people are almost embarrassed to admit that they've even seen it. Yes, someone decided to take Lost Horizon and turn it into a musical in 1973, rated G, and it was just so widely panned that everyone ran and went for the hills. I love this movie. I saw it as a kid. I think it's just terrific. It is, and it's funny, I just bonded with a friend of mine the other day who... with whom I often disagree, a songwriter, by the way, and he loves this movie. We just completely bonded over this film, and you know what? Burt Bacharach did the music, Hermes Pan did the choreography, and it's a wonderful movie. Forget about how badly directed it is by Charles Jarrett. It's a weird kind of eccentric gem with an amazing cast: Peter Finch, Olivia Hussey, Liv Ullmann, George Kennedy, Michael York, John Gielgud. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? It's so what that it also has Bobby Van in it. You remember Bobby Van?
Bobby Van. Didn't Bobby Van die of a brain aneurysm?
Yeah, he
or something?
did. He did. He did. It's really sad. But anyway, you get it as with all of these Twilight Time titles. It includes an isolated score and an alternate scene, believe it or not, and Burt Bacharach's song demos. It's just wonderful. Yes, I know it's cheesy, but darn it, it's really a great relic of my childhood. So gotta recommend that. Lost Horizon on Blu-ray. I never thought this day would come. Mark, what are we wrapping the show out with?
We're wrapping it out with this, Wade. If there's anything worse than Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, it's Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2. I'll tell you why. First of all,
But the Borg are introduced here.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. There's two things that make this season terrible. One is they're still wearing their pajamas as their Starfleet uniforms. Because I think in season 3, they go with the ones with the collar.
Yeah.
So any Star Trek where they're wearing their pajamas, not a good episode.
Okay.
Any Star Trek with Will Crusher, not a good episode. Also, season 2 sucks because they got rid of Gates McFadden and replaced her with Dana Moldauer as Dr. Pulaski.
Yeah, that's right.
And all those episodes kind of suck.
Yeah, they do kind of.
Exactly.
But they have the episode Q Who, which is where the Borg are introduced.
Now,
it's essential.
The Borg are cool.
It's an essential episode.
Yes, and Q is cool. And they also introduce 10 Forward in season 2, which is cool.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Now, this season is shortened by the writer's strike. Because we're talking 1988, 89.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's shortened by the writer's strike. So we only have a couple of good episodes here. Really, the most notable one, as Wade says, is probably Q Who, which is good stuff. But otherwise, I'm not a fan of season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, the good thing is that, as we talked about with season 1, these shows have been remastered. You know, they were shot on 35, which is unbelievable. And they look great. They look great. No doubt about it. They sound great. The show itself, again, as we're saying, there's too many stinkers in this season, although I did kind of like Times Square. Times Square, that was good. Anyway, so I would, if you're a Star Trek completist, obviously you got to get season 2. For me, I'm really not going to start really collecting these until season 3.
Okay.
Because by season 4, it was clearly one of the best shows on television, and it really had picked up the pace.
Yeah.
But seasons 1 and 2 were a little bit slow. Yes, Whoopi Goldberg was introduced this season. That's cool. I get it. But otherwise, season 2 not my favorite of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, I'm on board because I'm just a completist, and that means I'm also a masochist. So there you go. By the way, the bit with Data is Sherlock Holmes. It's very silly. It's very silly. All right, that does it. We are done for this week, and we're probably going to have some late-coming Christmas and holiday recommendations. By then, of course, Hanukkah will be over. Hanukkah's like halfway done now, right?
You know what? I was talking to somebody about this today. It's like, oh, it's Hanukkah. It is?
Well,
am I the worst Jew in the world? No idea.
That's okay. We forgive you. So, as if I'm in any position to forgive. All right, that's it. Please email us at gods@digigods.com. Any of your questions, recommendations, suggestions, all the above, and Vox Boxes. Send us some Vox Boxes.
Facebook page.
Facebook page. Join the Facebook page. We'll see you next week.